whilst we are a software company and we obviously, we can work remotely, we're obviously building our own physical hardware. So that's been quite difficult on the business to try and actually maneuver that. But for an industry as a whole, it's actually been quite beneficial because a lot of people are now starting to see the use cases of 3D. Before, we were always trying to pitch in how AR is going to be the future, and being able to see products from afar is beneficial. And all of a sudden, the brands are like, okay, we understand it now. It'd be really helpful if we could actually show people things about them being there in person. With the future of VR and 3D, I think we're going to be moving to a place where things won't be built by hand. So at the moment, everything's very manual and it's very slow. And with the scale that people want 3D and the metaverse and things of that nature to be, building things by hand is never going to work. So things are going to be automatically captured. And I think as creators, it's going to be a lot more intuitive. So you won't be clicking on manual little pixels and moving things around. You might be saying more broad things like, I want this scene to look Parisian, or I want this scene to look, weathered and derelict, or I like that bookcase, but let's have it made out of metal instead of wood. I think it's be a lot more intuitive, and the barrier for entry will be lower. So originally, I started working in a film company doing post production, where I was just sort of, doing retouches and such. And they were working on doing stereoscopic 3D, so the kind of 3D that you see at the theaters. And with that, they were playing around with 360 video, and eventually that led me into playing around with VR. And VR was nothing I'd ever thought about. I was never really into games or computer games. So VR was quite kind of like, out of the way for me. But as soon as I tried it, I kind of immediately saw the potential of it and where this could go. So that kind of led me into that space, um, for the 3D interactive. Some of the biggest ones we worked on this piece for Hypebeast a few years back in collaboration with Bybor, where we did interactive fabric, so you could actually reach out with your hand and touch these things and then interact. And then we also worked on this pretty large experience a few years back at Tribeca Film Festival, which was a multi-user VR experience where you could go into this world with like 5 other people, and you could all see your bodies and interact with one another. That was quite fun. Download some free software. You've got Unity, Unreal Engine, or Blender. They can do absolutely everything these days. And just watch lots of tutorials. And I think be patient with yourself. Like there's so much knowledge that you need to learn for 3D, but there's so much you can do with a very small amount of knowledge. And I think if you get frustrated easily, you'll hit a bit of a roadblock and kind of want to give up. But I think just be patient, watch tutorials, mess around, be willing to make mistakes because you're going to learn a lot more that way, and you'll start getting to a point where you'll really start having fun and you know what you're doing.